All right,
When your
fall's
soil is
coming.
mature, your
I'm
plants are
reviewing
going
some
to mature
videos over here,
faster. You're going to be able to
hanging out
eat.
at my workshop, and I'm wondering, want to get a little walk through my new greenhouse? Something that I put up a couple of weeks ago. Hasn't been in place very long, and we're having somewhat favorable weather. It looks like the sun is shining towards it, and I just wanted to present this to y'all because it's a greenhouse that it's an import, and I didn't spend a whole lot of money on it. I think I gave $225 or so for this particular greenhouse, and I found that I couldn't even buy the pipe I couldn't even buy the pipe locally for that price to build it myself, to make it myself. Like the last greenhouse, y'all saw the last greenhouse that I made. It's a two-layer greenhouse, polytunnel, and our lemon trees and roses grow in there, and we'll grow various other bushes and things like that. But on the whole, I don't do too many food crops in that greenhouse. So we put this one together, and I thought maybe I'd take a minute to show it to y'all. Maybe I could reach out to you folks, you good folks. Maybe some of you have this type of a greenhouse. It's like I said, an imported greenhouse, not very expensive. It has the cover has like a ripstop or strings in it. Maybe you know what I'm talking about, but we'll see it in a moment. And it seemed like a pretty good value. And in the back of my mind, I thought, well, hey, worst case situation is the cover isn't very good, and later on I can come back with some wiggle track and wiggle wire and put that on each end, and maybe run some across one of the horizontal members, and I maybe even could turn it into a roll-up side greenhouse. But I could evolve it if I knew if the structure was strong, and I could at the very least assemble it without pulling the last hair off of my mostly bald head. I knew that there was a chance that I might be able to take it to the next level. So even though it's only a $200+ greenhouse, I figured, hey, I might be able to improve its structure, improve its usability. I could increase its ability to dissipate heat by putting in fans, and I could improve its ability to hold heat by securing it all the way around with compost and wood chips, which is something we typically do. The bottom of the cover flares out sideways, and we just pile on the wood chips on top of that to hold it down. It won't be visible when we take a walk out there, but at least you'll have it in your mind that that's what Creedmoor did. He actually buried the base of the greenhouse as well as buried the base of the greenhouse cover, and we do that with our other greenhouses as well. So it's not something that's different for this greenhouse. In any event, it does tend to hold it down. It sort of keys it onto the soil a whole lot better, and you can put as much soil on top of it as you want to keep it held down. When it rains, the soil gets wet, it gets heavier, and it tends to hold it and ballast the greenhouse even better. So it's a practice that we definitely hold true to ourselves, and we like to do it. And it's been productive for us over the years. We've had some pretty windy storms, many of them in excess of 50 or 60-mile-an-hour winds, and somehow, knock wood, we've been fortunate enough to keep, well, most, if not all, of the greenhouses that were built after the first sets that we made that really didn't hold up so well. So, anyway, I didn't utilize my own innovation to build this. It's kind of a cheesy build, but it is, like I said, an inexpensive build. And the question still remains, can this inexpensive build greenhouse protect, well, potentially thousands of dollars worth of crops? And inside this particular greenhouse, it's got all of my peppers. Many of those peppers are 4, 5, 6 years old, and it'll lay host to some tomatoes that will grow in there. They almost always do, and a couple of eggplants. And it's really a good variety of peppers. You'll see at least we have the ones that we appreciate. I'm sure y'all probably grow different ones, and tell me in the comments if you would like me to grow a different pepper, and maybe I might be able to add that in a future video installment. But I will say I'm growing hatch chili now because we found a great recipe for hatch chili sauce that I really, really enjoy, and we are about to put that into the ground and get it going, even though here we are walking into deep into fall, early into winter. The seasons are changing, it's cold. But one thing I can say about that is that we get a lot of volunteer germination right now this time of the year, and I'm actually curtailing growth in the greenhouses. So I've learned intuitively that now is actually a really good time to plant, because from here forward through the remainder of the winter, I'm really going to be applying a lot of care and a lot of tender love to these plants. So we've been very successful over the past 5 or 6 years, maybe even longer. I don't know. It's been so long, I've probably forgotten a few. And we're going to keep at it. But This is part of the journey, and now y'all get to see Creedmoor Furrier use this really, really cheap, cheesy greenhouse because, well, he was too cheap to go out and spend the extra money on the overpriced American tubing. I'll find some new tubing someday. And this is what we have now. So tell me what y'all think. Let's get out there and get a look. Okay, so there she is. And basically this greenhouse is 7.5 feet tall, 28 feet long by 10 feet wide. It has 4 windows, 2 on each side. We'll go around it here. This is what they consider to be the back side of it. And I'm going to need to put 2 exhaust vents in here because it gets really, really hot. I could use one, but I just don't think it's going to be good enough because of the way we've got things planted. I want to create sort of like air movement that starts on the other end of the greenhouse and comes through here. The other end of the greenhouse is typically cooler. This is where I usually have my bioheat. It consists of about 20 to 40 yards of compost being made, and it is, of course, very, very hot when you build it thermophilically and use manure, green and brown, and wood chips. It gets really hot, stays hot. There are designs out there. John Payne, if I'm not mistaken, a Frenchman, is the one who designed the system that I like to use. So here you can see the other 2 windows. They are closed at the moment. We are in overcast conditions, so it's okay for them to be closed. And you kind of get an idea how the framework is. The frame that goes up and over is 1 inch, and I believe the horizontal members are just a little bit smaller than that, if I'm not mistaken. It did come with 2 sets of vinyl clips, plastic clips to hold it in place. And you use them around the door, which is really, really cheesy, folks. These doors are not good. It's going to be one of the first things that I'm actually going to replace. But for now, it'll be fine. So let's go ahead and open the door and go inside. Alright, so this is the door. It's really cheesy. It is what it is. I'll do something a little bit better. It stays closed with one of those little bungees. And currently I'm just using a fan right here. But you can tell from here it's rather spacious. We haven't put everything into play yet. Like, I'm still using some temporary lighting. The first thing that you're greeted with is this absolutely massive jalapeno tree. Yeah, y'all may have seen it before if you follow my postings. This is the one with the 3-inch round tree trunk. And to its left, I've got a habanero, and then to the left of that is a ghost. We've got some ghosts here, some cilantro. There's a ghost over here. Many of these things are actually going to be transplanted. But anyway, back to the greenhouse. You can see from the inside here, it has these 7 horizontal members. That one right there is buried underneath compost and wood chips. That little brace right there keeps the wind from doing too much destruction to it. And then I've actually got temporary pieces of 1/2-inch EMT there from when we carried these panels out from inside the workshop. I will be removing them soon, but just haven't gotten around to it. Anyway, so you've got that one up right there, to which we've got some sort of trellis work hung off of, at least temporarily right now. I'm gonna shorten those up and install them properly, and at least for now I'll be ducking underneath them. Do need some extra help to keep some of these plants up. They want to grow bigger than they can with this Back to Eden soil. They'll just keep growing to the moon like forever. Anyway, let's go past it here. So I cleared this section out here. This is the top side of the greenhouse that's closest to the bulk of my garden, and here is the eggplant, and maybe y'all saw that in the video. I don't know, not even sure if I published it yet. Here is the other eggplant that I transplanted from the outside to the inside. It is doing fantastic right now. It really is doing well. Look at those leaves. And you can see some volunteer tomatoes. They just sort of end up, everywhere. Right there. Another jalapeno. This is a baby jalapeno. It started its life in 2024. We love it. We're keeping it. But anyway, I moved it from over there to over here. I also moved this. This is Dragon Kion. It's just starting to green up since I moved it the other day. It got a little ornery, a little upset, but it's doing well. It was doing well. And I never like to throw away a plant that is producing like this, you know? Why would we want to do that? But anyway, beyond this, I've got some trellis work here that we put in to keep these bell peppers, and I've also got some banana peppers, and what else is over here? On the other side of this is another dragon. Baby volunteer dragon right there. Anyone want a dragon? Pet dragon? And then, of course, some more. All this stuff needs to be pruned. Maybe we'll do some video work on pruning these things. But there's another giant jalapeno in the back. You can see some peppers hanging right there. And in there. And this is another pepper tree that has a rather girthy trunk to it. They do well, folks. I mean, we did some harvest. Look at that. But I mean, now I have to wash my hand. That's how hot these are. And you look into this plant right here. We already harvested jalapenos, and you can see some of the stuff that's still left. Some of it's drying out a little bit, but I'll still come out here and I'll pick these things and I'll eat them. The jalapenos aren't quite as hardcore as these. Yeah, they're nasty. See a little bit of black spot right there. I tell you, it's tough growing here in the Carolinas. There's a lot of disease. There really is a lot of disease. So when you can produce something along these lines, I mean, I definitely consider myself to be blessed. It wasn't always like this. A little butterfly over there. And a wasp in the corner. That's no regular wasp. It looks like an onion wasp to me. Or an onion fly. Now we'll see. Leave them alone. Anyway, these insect screens seem to work pretty good, but like y'all saw before, there's still insects in here because I keep the door open. So, what do you think? Anyway, what do you think? What can we expect from a $225 greenhouse, right? What can we really expect from it? At this point, I'm kind of expecting it to keep the frost off, and currently I've got 2 oil heaters in here, oil electric heaters. I don't usually use that many heaters in my greenhouses because it's not necessary because of the practices that we employ. But in this particular case, I haven't had a chance to build the compost heat yet. So what I was hoping to do was cover compost making and compost heat making at the same time in one sort of fail swoop. And if I can pull that off, then maybe y'all can get an inside line as to how it is that I make this sort of no-turn compost. And in particular, the no-turn compost that I make, it's to heat my greenhouses. I'm not getting involved in turning those things. I don't have time to. I don't have the energy to. And not only that, if you're, an elder, and you're getting up in your years, you probably don't have the energy to be turning compost. As a matter of fact, I switched to growing with wood chips and compost because dirt's too heavy. So just bear that in mind. For those of you that might happen to be getting up there in your years, the majority of the compost that I make, I don't turn. It still composts. It still works beautifully, and the results y'all are seeing. You saw them. We have pretty good disease resistance. We have great hydration of our fruits, and our vegetable crops do well. They manage to handle insects, like a boss. And it's rare. It's rare because I stopped using chemicals a long time ago. We don't use things that are unnatural to the insects, and because I stopped using those things so long ago, the insects that come in to manage those problems are still present. And I can comment more on that a little bit here because I'm standing in the middle of the greenhouse. In the middle of the greenhouse is usually a ladybug lacewing incubator. They usually come in here and they do their thing and then they hang out. They overwinter in here with these particular plants. And occasionally we'll see maybe a few aphids. In the early years we saw a few thousand aphids. But as time passed, the balancing insects took over the responsibility of managing those things. And every year since, once the temperatures get down to near freezing, well, at the greenhouses I sort of find a bunch of ladybugs with little suitcases, and some of the male ladybugs, they just got a stick with a little bandana wrapped on the end of it and a couple of their most important belongings in there. But they're telling me, they're like, hey, Creedmoor, I want to get into your place. Can you let me in? So I let them in. So for any of you that are wondering why it might be cold out, and I got the windows open, I got the doors open, and everything is open air, it's because I'm not really trying to keep the insects out. I'm not. I mean, I run what I brung. You know, I know in my heart that insects and disease are a part of growing. So, you know, we work really hard to diversify the soil biology and the plant biology and all living biology because we know that that's the best way to support and produce a robust response from the plants that we grow. It's been super effective, and you know, I can't lie to you. When I first started out, I had no idea about any of that stuff, but I'm learning and I'm trying to share it too. So, yeah. Anyway, we're looking at 15 minutes here. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. Y'all are probably thinking about doing other things rather than hang out with Creedmoor Fury in his greenhouse. I do like this particular greenhouse because it's taller, so you can kind of see here, and it's a little quieter since I'm on the other side of the fan, but I'm not like hitting my head on the ceiling anymore. And that kind of goes a long way because smaller greenhouses and less expensive greenhouses are usually smaller because it costs money to build something big. And in this particular case, the whoever the import company was that manufactured this greenhouse did a pretty good job of providing me with the necessary space that I need, at least. I was fortunate to be able to go through this and pull it off as quickly as I did because we're supposed to be seeing some mid 30s next week. I know what it means when we see mid 30s. It means that in the following week, we're going to see lower than mid 30s. It means that we're going to usher in winter, and it's not going to turn back until spring hits. So, anyway, I was hoping that maybe this might be some valuable content for some of you that were planning on embarking on such a journey. And if you would, you know, you can use this particular greenhouse as an example of what might be for you. In the details, I'll do my best to put the information, the specific information about this greenhouse. I'm not selling greenhouses, and I'm not trying to push you all to do it. If you don't have really quality soil to grow your plants in within the greenhouse, it doesn't even make sense. Not to me, anyway, because I really do like to promote the methods that are espoused in the Back to Eden method and just cover them and keep them warm. That's it. Everything, you know, down below is all BTE, but everything up above is Creedmoor trying to keep things from freezing. So God bless you all. Thank you to those of you that have been loyal, faithful subscribers for as long as you have. And as is always, if you feel that there's some worth to this content, please share it with someone that you love. And I got one more thing to add, folks. Time's tough. Love and hug someone. Just, you know, just do it. I mean, it feels good when we do it anyway. So peace and God bless. Y'all be well. Creedmoor out.